And welcome back to LinkedIn Logs, the jobs podcast for the website cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Episode 101. Jesus Christ. I was singing the song. You know what? I saw what episode it was, and then I immediately started singing the song 101. I want to play that game tonight from by Hall & Oates, okay, by the excellent duo Hall & Oates, two guys who I think are now ambivalent towards each other. One wants to do something with the music and the other one doesn't. It's a great song. It's an excellent song. I hear it on Yacht Rock Radio all the time. Is it Yacht Rock? Not really. Now, they do have other songs. Hall & Oates do have other songs that are Yacht Rock that I would consider Yacht Rock. Yacht Rock Radio moved from and I'll get to the episode in a second. Every single summer, Yacht Rock Radio moves from 311 or 301, wherever it typically is, to like the upper channels. At least for the past couple of years, it's been moving to like 15. And then a couple of months ago, I get in the car because I leave it on Yacht Rock all the time. I leave it on Yacht Rock all the time. I love Yacht Rock Radio. I'm not kidding. And I get in the car and it's just gone. And I go, oh my God, did I not pay my SiriusXM bill? And then I go to where it was over the summer and it's just there permanently. And what I think happened is when they move it, I have a lot of theories about why they moved it to now the upper levels. It's very popular. Also, when they moved it from the 300s to 15, or I think it's 15 probably. When they moved it to 15, it obviously over the summer it gets very popular again because now you have a wider swath of people who don't have access to the 300s, and because there's different levels of SiriusXM, and they turn to it and they're like, oh, this is great. They're playing, soft rock from the late 70s and the early 80s, which is very specific. That's what they're playing. So they moved it up to 15, and then when they see, they're playing, when people see that Maneater is playing, or Chicago's Hard Habit to Break, which is some of these songs that they play aren't really yacht rock. It's just soft rock from the late 70s and early 80s. So they see that, people listen to it a lot more, and then now I believe this is just a theory of mine, that opens them up to have more of a chance to just buy more songs that aren't really played, or buy the rights to more songs, or just allow more songs that aren't really played on Yacht Rock Radio. They just fall into this category of soft rock from the late 70s and early 80s. Some people, if you watch the Yacht Rock documentary that was on HBO Max last year, or it might have been 2 years ago, I don't remember. What was it called? What was that Yacht Rock doc? Yacht Rock doc. It's called, Yacht Rock, a capital documentary. The everybody who's featured in the documentary, there's like two sides. It's either this isn't Yacht Rock, which is like the original guys going, hey, some of this stuff is not Yacht Rock, and then like the newer people going. And by newer, I mean like younger people like me going, Yacht Rock's great, and kind of bastardizing it and turning it into something that's not. It's a good documentary. I really enjoyed it. And if you like Yacht Rock, then you'll love that documentary. I'm not kidding. This came out in November 2024, looks like. So the documentary is 2 years old. I love Yacht Rock. I love Yacht Rock so much. And I'm glad I used this time in this platform. It is the end of the workday. For anybody listening. It is. It's 5:41. Okay, let's get into this. I have a lot of stuff to talk about. This first story comes from CNBC, written by Melissa Repko. Target steps up investment in store staffing, cuts about 500 other roles to help fix customer experience. Ever since, 2020 probably, Target, I was about to say Texas, Target has been going on a downhill trajectory when it comes to its business. People in 2020, let's take a reminder of what happened. Besides the pandemic, there were a lot of protests surrounding police and people of color, mostly black people, but people of color. And after a couple of bad things that happened, people were boycotting big companies until they actually said or did stuff. Target never rebounded. And in fact, I believe within the last year or two, people were still not up in arms. I don't want to say up in arms about Target, but like I'm sorry, I have SNL on the background and The Weeknd is playing, and I'm trying to figure out the song. But people just weren't shopping at Target, and it's really hit them hard. Which is, I wish people would do the same thing with Amazon and with Whole Foods, with like other companies, with Disney. Oh, people did do it with Disney. With we saw with Jimmy Kimmel, people really unsubscribed from Disney products that involve subscriptions and everything, and it hit them. I wish people would do that with other companies. Keep doing it. Keep hammering it. They'll see this. Target said in an email to employees obtained by CNBC that it will invest more in store labor. So that's big. They're trying to win back shoppers who have complained about sloppier stores, out-of-stock items, and longer checkout lines. I've seen longer checkout lines, and I don't even go to Target. I have to go because every like couple of months, because it is the only place I can get Harry's face wash and body wash, and I really like Harry's face wash and body wash. It's so I'll go like every couple of months, and then it'll be in the morning, and the Target parking lot is already packed. It'll be like 9 o'clock in the morning, and it is just packed. It's hard to get in and get out. So they're going to get rid of 500 jobs at distribution centers and regional offices. Let's see. This all comes from the new CEO, Michael Fidelk. They're going to reduce the number of store districts and put money toward more hours for frontline store employees, which is good because you often see in recent years how people can't make ends meet. And with that, in jobs like this that are paying hourly, they're also reducing hours, but requiring more of the workers. So 100 people at store district level will be laid off, and 400 across the supply chains will be laid off. The email says this change also fuels our ability to put significantly more payroll in our stores, primarily in additional labor and hours where needed most, but also in new guest experience training for every team member at every store. A Target spokesperson declined to specify the amount of additional investment planned for Target stores, but said the announcement will not change starting wages for store workers, which range from $15 to $24 per hour, depending on location. So it seems to me that, let's say someone's hired at $17 an hour, which I was making at the what's it called? The golf store. Where the fuck was I working? The country club. That's where I was making at the country club, and it sucked. One, couldn't afford this apartment, but two, it sucked. So someone's making $17 an hour, and they are only given 28 to 30 hours a week. Now, in theory, these layoffs, the 500 layoffs will allow for people to make the same amount of money, but instead of working 4 or 5 hour shifts, be able to work maybe a full shift and maybe even get health benefits, or just get up to 39 hours, which is what happened at the golf course or wherever the fuck it was. The annual sales for Target have been roughly flat for 4 years, and they cut 1,800 corporate roles last year in the first major layoffs in a decade. Wow. Well, let's see how Target, if Target is able to bounce back from that. All right, this one is a news story. It came in while I was doing yoga about an hour ago. Raquel Calhoun from The Wrap. It came in via email. It didn't come in. I didn't see it at 11:23. CBS News 24/7 staffers begin third union contract negotiations for AI layoff protections. Exclusive. We are in the midst of union negotiations, contract negotiations. It is that time of the 3 years again. Last week I spoke about the DGA. This week I'll be talking about more contract negotiations a little later in the show, as well as this one right now. But the Writers Guild of America East members at CBS News 24/7, and remember, we're going to see this for different news unions and organizations. The New York Times has its own union. I don't know if Washington Post had its own union, but I'm sure it does. It's different for every single company and platform. It's not like the Directors Guild where that houses all the directors. There's different news unions. So they begin their negotiations with CBS and Paramount. Remember, CBS News 24/7 is negotiating with the Writers Guild of America East, which is the same as Writers Guild of America West. It's just all encompassing. It's just handling the Eastern Seaboard. They're negotiating with CBS and Paramount for their third contract with a focus on artificial intelligence and layoff protections. According to a Tuesday press release shared with The Wrap, the 60-member bargaining unit is seeking a new agreement that addresses industry changes and includes increased investment by CBS and Paramount in the CBS News 24/7 stream with compensation to support that growth. 24/7 news streaming, I think, is very important for these broadcasters in particular who are going up against the likes of CNN, Fox News, and Miss Now. I will never give that name respect. I'll give it the same respect I give Fox News, which is none. Miss Now. It should be Mrs. Now because I don't respect no single lady. Kidding. The other 24/7 news streamers include ABC News. I believe NBC. I don't know if NBC has a 24/7 streamer. Let's see. NBC 24/7. Yes, they do. Yes, NBC News Now. Okay. And I'm sure there's others, but I don't want to pay attention to those. The negotiations will focus on fairer pay, enhanced protections against artificial intelligence, stronger safeguards in the event of layoffs or termination, and improvements to overall working conditions with an emphasis on journalist safety and work-life balance. Journalist safety is very important, and the work-life balance is very important too. I'm sure that the broadcasters at 24, every single person in the news is not able to have good work-life balance. And yes, I understand nurses, teachers, blah, blah, blah. We're talking about news right now. We should applaud for everybody who has a job. Someone's going to try to kill me one day, and I think it's going to be very funny. I was looking at email. Seeing if it's something I need to answer. But when it comes to this work-life balance thing, 24/7 news, in the same way that someone working in a hospital can be deal with having to stay longer, so too can it happen with people in the news. And the journalist safety is also very important because these people are going to sometimes war-torn places. I'm sure the improvements to overall working conditions, that is something I have a question about. Not that I'm questioning them. I'm thinking about in regards to how does CBS treat the 24-hour newsroom, the 24-hour news unit. I'm sure they have a separate studio space, and I'm sure that studio space does not look as good as the one for the who hosts evening news, Tony DeCopel, for Tony DeCopel. Nor does it look as good as the one for CBS mornings. So they're probably getting, the least prepared news studio. On Tuesday, the group delivered a solidarity pledge to management that was signed by 100% of active employees in the bargaining unit. Yeah, they should be paid better, and then the job security against AI is very important. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. It's the if you don't know what CBS News, the streaming, the 24/7 stream has, they do their own stories, which is like, you'll see like the stories on CBS.com. You won't see breaking news stories. I don't know if they do that because it's not exactly live, and it's not live all the time, but it is a live streaming network. And then they also feature programs like 60 Minutes, 48 Hours, CBS Mornings, and things of that nature. It is the first live streaming news network to win a collective bargaining agreement in 2020. That's pretty cool. All right, let's keep moving on. This comes from The Hollywood Reporter, written by Katie Kilkenny. Legislators call for employment commitments from Netflix and Paramount as they seek to merge with Warner Bros. Adam Schiff and Laura Friedman asked for CEOs to just be like, hey, are these people going to be able to keep their jobs? It was a letter that was sent last Friday via the Southern California legislators asking Netflix leaders Ted Sarandos and Greg Peters and Paramount head David Ellison to get specific about how their companies will, quote, preserve and expand good-paying film and television jobs in Los Angeles and their attempted mergers with Warner Brothers. No matter what happens with this merger, jobs will be lost because there will be overlap. But it's very important that they preserve as many jobs as possible. Let's see. The politicians want to see some language that will commit the corporate leaders, yes, if either merger is consummated. Not just for California, but also American workers. Furthermore, given the importance of the outcome of a WBD acquisition, that the legislators say in the letter, said concrete commitments should be accompanied by measurable action so that California and Hollywood continue to serve as a global center of storytelling, innovation, and creative employment. They mentioned California not just because they're legislators, but also because work is moving outside of Hollywood and because of tax incentives and all that stuff, and it's becoming almost a bit of a devastating thing for people living in Hollywood. I will say it is a devastating thing because the jobs aren't there, but the people are. And again, to say that just Netflix buying Warner would be monopolistic would be facetious. You're keeping if Paramount would be even Paramount Skydance would be just as worse, if not worse. Beyond employment commitments, the legislators asked how CEOs would prioritize production in the U.S. and California specifically. They call for companies to work with entertainment unions and commit to boosting union jobs. They had questions about AI, asking how the leaders would use the technology while honoring rights holders and creatives without supplanting their workforce in the process. They asked for their plan to, quote, deliver on your commitments to promote competition and opportunity for consumers while maintaining competitive pricing without sacrificing quality content. They want answers by February 15th. I like a hard deadline. The AI things are also very important because these companies whether we like it or not, looking at AI. I'm working at a network right now that may or may not be looking at AI things. However, it is not stuff that can take over a job. It's stuff that can aid with the job. But there's definitely a meeting regarding that. Like we met with the companies, and I sat through a whole fucking hour and a half meeting. I wasn't even needed there. I was literally just sitting there. Oh, God. Speaking of Paramount Skydance, this comes from Variety. Paramount Skydance says it will pay Warner Brothers Discovery an extra $650 million per quarter if its WBD takeover isn't completed by the end of 2026. Now, this is a very important thing. This came in today. This is written by Todd Spangler. Ellison also mentioned that David Ellison, who is the son of Larry Ellison, a conservative partial owner of Paramount Skydance, along with a bunch of Saudi princes. David Ellison also said that because Warner Brothers has already decided to go with Netflix, that there's regulation fees. The fees are close to $3 billion. It's $2.8 billion exactly. He said, hey man, we'll take care of it. You don't have the money. Paramount said on Tuesday that it will add today, incremental cash consideration to WBD shareholders of 25 cents per share, which is the equivalent of $650 million cash value each quarter. For every quarter, the proposed Paramount acquisition is not closed beyond December 31st, 2026. So he's betting, if I were a betting man, I would guess that David Ellison is betting that that he could get this deal closed by the end of the year, because this seems like money that is, again, they said if it's not closed beyond December 31st. Let's say Warner Brothers goes through with this. If it goes through within the next month, and because he's in Trump's ear, his dad is also in Trump's ear, this could close in the summer, and they could not see a penny. The extra ticking fee, in quotes, reflects the confidence of Ellison and his team that a Paramount WBD deal will have a smoother path to regulatory approval than Netflix's merger with Warner Bros. Paramount and others have alleged that Netflix, if it owns HBO Max, would have a virtual monopoly on subscription streaming in multiple markets. Netflix is already around the world. HBO Max just launched in the UK. While that would be true, actually, I don't even think that's a huge monopoly, because look at Disney Plus. Disney Plus is flipping everywhere. And yeah, I said flipping. So they have that breakup fee. And remember, Paramount's deal is $30 per share, whereas Netflix's deal is $27.75, I believe, but all cash. Paramount also said it would eliminate WBD's potential $1.5 billion finance costing. Okay, so at this point, financing cost associated with this debt exchange offer by, quote, fully backstopping an exchange order offer that relieves WBD of its contractual bondholder. So at that point, Paramount said it would fully reimburse WBD shareholders for the $1.5 billion fee without reducing the separate $5.8 billion reverse termination fee in the, quote, unlikely event that the Paramount transaction is blocked by regulators. So at that point, $1.5 billion plus the $2.8 billion in the breakup fees plus this $650 million is non-point. And then you're at that point, you're overpaying for all these assets. It's insane. Other promises Paramount Skydance is making in its amended takeover offer. Oh, Jesus Christ. I didn't even see this part. If WBD's financing sources will not extend the maturity of WBD's existing $15 billion bridge loan, Paramount's debt financing sources are, quote, fully prepared to do so. You don't have 15 million. You don't have 15 billion. You don't have $15 billion. That's crazy. So the new offer, let me see if there's more numbers. No. And they're also, with respect to Discovery Global, which is WBD's spinoffs of the cable assets, everything that's not HBO Max and the movie studio. So it's like the video game stuff and the cable assets, like Cartoon Network and TLC and Food Network. Paramount said it was open to discussing the WBD board of directors' contractual solutions to account for the possibility of continuing deteriorating financial performance. Guys, I'm tired. Beyond WBD is currently projecting for its linear. Oh, Jesus Christ. So this doesn't make sense to me. $43 billion as well. Okay, so the new amended offer is $108 billion. That's an enterprise value of $108 billion. That, again, is funded, here are the names, by Bank of America, Redbird Capital, which is Larry Ellison. Larry Ellison, Redbird Capital, Bank of America, Citigroup, Apollo, and then sovereign wealth funds of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Abu Dhabi. That's 8 different hands, all in Trump's ear, owning the biggest monopoly in media history, besides Disney and Fox 20th Century. Oh my God. This like what a shitty thing. Like this is I despise this. I despise this with a passion. This should not be happening. Disney and 20th should have not have happened. AT&T should never have bought Warner. Why can't movies and TV shows, why can't that be separate from all this business crap? All right, the final story. This comes from Deadline. SAG-AFTRA President Sean Astin talks AI, residuals, pensions, and more ahead of 2026 labor negotiations with the AMPTP. As I mentioned last week, the DGA is going, the Directors Guild of America is going through this, and SAG-AFTRA will be going through this. The negotiations start in around 2 weeks. Sean Astin said, who took over for Fran Drescher, said that he is ready and willing to do this. Remember, the last time they did this was in 2023. They were on strike for 18 months, I believe. I think that's the timeline. And now we're back at it again because it happens every 3 years. You want it to happen sooner rather than later because you want to get these protections going. AI protection, streaming residuals, payments, healthcare, all that stuff. Astin ran on a campaign when he was elected that promised to continue addressing several of the same issues that were the talk of the town 3 years ago, like AI protections and streaming residuals, while also vowing to turn his attention to health and pension plan reform. Remember, because they were working for a year and a half, and they still had to pay health plans and pension plans. The DGA, the SAG, all the unions, they do have backup money when it comes to that stuff, but the reserve funds are what they sound like, reserves. So now they want these companies to, on top of re-signing these contracts or signing new contracts, to pay into the pension funds and the health plan funds. Workplace safety and other concerns from members who he feels often get left behind in negotiations. This Charlie XCX movie looks like garbage. I'm just saying. He spoke to Fran, and she gave him some really good guidance on how to work with the union and everybody. Okay. He says, Astin also said that they represent a lot of groups, categorical groups. So the idea of picking any one thing or any three things, I think, might start to shape a narrative that is totally out of sync with what our needs are. One thing I think about is the fact that we're doing a lot of heavy lifting that the companies are benefiting from, just in terms of corralling the kinds of folks who work with them and assembling their needs. I like that. Let's see. Bargaining cycle. Can you tell me about it? Next question. Okay. Is there anything negotiating? Deadline asks Is there anything about the negotiation process that you'd seek to handle differently than SAG-AFTRA has done in the past? They don't want it to. He doesn't want it to be dramatic. There are foundational, substantive things that affect the working lives of everyone in this industry undergoing change, and we all know it because you cover it every single day. You, the media. And we see it every day, too. From my vantage point, the public statements from the companies have been very constructive and very positive sounding. I think we'll go into this negotiation from our side with a very respectful, responsible, even tone. All right. They also want to have a conversation about streaming consolidation. They want to... talking to companies like Netflix, when it says they have 300 million subscribers and they're charging this much a month, they want to be able to get revenue based on that. Yeah, okay. The concept of he wants the residuals, like better residuals. Obviously, everybody wants better residuals. We work very hard, he says, over an extended period of time just to get these jobs. That work, that time, and then the actual work we do needs to be reflected in the full picture of how they exploit the contractual term of these projects and how they make their money. I like that. Okay. I should not have to keep saying this. We want everybody to be paid fairly. We want everybody to pay too. And it's important that people get what they're worth. And residuals are very, for a long time, I would say for a long time, people were making a lot of money on residuals. Like you could just make one show and you could be set for life. And then at some point it was only the top shows. And now, I'll say it was only the top shows. And now it's only the top shows who can even feign to have residuals. I wonder if the Stranger Things kids are getting a lot in terms of residuals. I know they're getting a lot in terms of, just initial payments, but I also wonder if they're getting, offers. I know Joe Carey's working a lot. I want to see Cold Storage. I don't know, but I can't know I don't know if there's anybody else. Anyway. That's it. I'm done. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to famous people sometimes. I've put out a couple of interviews recently. I'm recording one next week, I think. I don't know. I've got some other ones coming up in the future. But if you want to watch a video version of those interviews, as well as a video version of this show, and a video version of the other podcast, The Constitutionals, the entertainment business news podcast, and Late Night Lately, the late night show. It's on hiatus for 2 weeks. Check out youtube.com/cpluscomedy for all that stuff. If you want, subscribe to those shows wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on social media, Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at cpluscomedy. Me at Chad Black White. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Bye.